association and protection of civil rights are controlled in the analysis. That is, the lack of basic civil freedoms, and not poverty, appears to influence transnational terrorism. In numerous subsequent studies, economists and political scientists have investigated the relationship between domestic or transnational terrorism and income per capita. The results in these studies vary considerably, with some articles finding a positive linear relationship, others finding a negative linear relationship, and still others finding no relationship between income per capita and terrorism. A negative linear relationship would imply that low income per capita, or poverty, causes a greater amount of terrorism, as thought by President Bush, media commentators, and others. Notably, many fewer studies uncover the negative relationship than those that uncover a positive or no relationship between income per capita and terrorism. A positive relationship would indicate that richer countries experience more terrorist attacks. A recent study sorts out these various findings by establishing a robust hill-shaped relationship between income per capita and alternative forms of terrorism. Such a hill-shaped relationship indicates that terrorism is greatest for some middle range of income per capita, so that neither poor nor really rich countries sustain very much domestic or transnational terrorism. The storyline behind these results is that people in really poor countries are more interested in their subsistence and focusing on surviving another day. Thus, they possess little means for supporting or engaging in terrorist campaigns at home or abroad. Some citizens in poor countries may have grievances, but they do not have the resources to act on them. By contrast, citizens in rich countries generally have few grievances that may erupt in domestic terrorism. Moreover, rich countries possess the means to crush domestic terrorism and to project power abroad to attack foreign-based terrorist groups. The U.S. use of drone attacks on terrorist groups in Iraq, Pakistan, Syria, and Yemen is an apt example of power projection, as is the U.S. dropping of a GBU-43B massive ordnance air blast, Moab, bomb, on Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, ISIS, caves in Afghanistan, on April 13, 2017. Moab is a 21,600-pound bomb that is the largest non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. arsenal. In middle-income countries, terrorist groups can attract operatives to conduct terrorist attacks at home and abroad, to make their grievances known, and to issue demands for political change. Middle-income countries have fewer means than rich countries to counter terrorist threats. This is particularly true of actions to curb transnational terrorist attacks at home or against the country's interests abroad. This hill-shaped relationship between income per capita and terrorism applies to the pre-1993 reign of the leftist terrorists and to the post-1993 reign of the religious fundamentalist terrorists. In the earlier period, the peak number of terrorist attacks is found to occur at a higher income per capita level than during the latter period. Leftist terrorists concentrated their attacks throughout Europe and Latin America, while religious fundamentalists focused their attacks in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Generally, leftist terrorist attacks took place in more well-to-do countries than the more recent terrorist attacks of the religious fundamentalists, except for the occasional attack in a European capital city. This hill-shaped relationship also applies to venue countries, which are the scene of the attack, and to perpetrator countries, which are the origin state of the terrorists. This recent finding indicates that terrorism is not motivated by poverty per se. Notably, the hill-shaped relationship between terrorist attacks and income per capita continues to hold when other considerations such as income inequality, civil liberties, and population are included. What is the relationship between terrorism and education? Terrorist leaders are intent on getting their missions completed as planned. In a study of suicide terrorism, Palestinian terrorist groups are found to assign more educated and older suicide bombers to the high-value targets in large cities in order to wreak more carnage. This is a rational use of resources, since terrorist groups apparently have no trouble in attracting suicide bombers. Economists have taught us that education is the best screening device for hiring people that can accomplish tasks successfully. Apparently, suicide terrorism is no exception. Perhaps, counter to intuition, there is a high positive association between suicide terrorists and higher education.